Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Molo360 podcast. How's it going? I'm here with Ronnie from Vaporspace STL. Woo!
How's it going?
How's it going? So what I like to ask everybody, I would like you to explain yourself a little bit, like who you are and what you do.
Explain myself. All right, I'm ready. I am ready to explain myself. I am Ronnie. I am from St. Louis, and I have been throwing vaporwave parties in St. Louis since it looks like first one was April 5th of 2019. Was our first party. So I've been doing it since then. And I did that thanks to a George Clinton concert that I went to a few months before in Chicago, where I saw George Clinton perform with Equip, and it was a great show. And I drove from St. Louis to Chicago to see it, and I asked George, I was like, "When are you coming to St. Louis? When are you going to come to St. Louis?" And he said, I'm not sure I have many fans in St. Louis." And in my mind, that sticks with me so much, where I was like, well, I gotta get George some fans in St. Louis, so he will come to St. Louis. And then it occurred to me, I gotta get fans into this genre of music. I've got to get St. Louis. St. Louis wants to be about cool music. We have a great music scene. We have for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
I came up through the electronica scene in St. Louis. I know that it's open-minded and adaptable, and that it was throwing a lot of shows in St. Louis. And I said, there is room for me in this space. I just have to do something cool and make people excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started looking for musicians and started throwing parties.
Awesome.
2019 was a great year to go live in vaporwave. I did not know when I started that all the other things that happened in 2019 for live vaporwave, specifically the electronicons and everything that kind of bloomed around that, I didn't know that was going to happen. So I've just been having so much fun, I couldn't stand it, is really what it's been boiling down to. So explain myself, I throw parties, and I love to throw vaporwave parties. It's a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. I love that. Yeah. I know Uniwa was a part of one of your shows, and that's cool. He talks very fondly about that. So people are saying that you're a bit quiet right now. Oh, Singularity. Awesome. That's sick. Do you have promoters? Do you hire any promoters? And you're the promoter. That's awesome.
I work with Paul. I work with Sound Market. But I work with Sound Market. He made all these flyers, almost all these flyers. We worked with some people on some different ones. It's too big of a job to do alone. But promoting, I mean, we don't hire anybody. We are 100% DIY.
True to vaporwave.
We're not. I mean, it is. Our first two parties we threw in my friend's restaurant. Friend had a restaurant that was a brunch place that closed at 3 every day, but she was available to be open on Fridays and Saturdays for banquets and bridal shower dinners and things like that. And I said, would it be possible for me to do a little music in here? And we had to move the heaviest tables in the universe to do it. But the first two parties were in the Benton Park Cafe, and we brought in a sound system into a brunch spot and threw a couple of wicked parties before I decided I wanted to go someplace that already had a sound system where I didn't have to move tables for 2 hours before and 2 hours after the event.
Damn.
That part was yeah, you didn't put them back where they go anyway, and those tables are heavy as shit. So yeah, let's make sure that you find a better spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was it was just so much fun. But yeah, our first two shows. Our second show, we had Fire Tools come in from Chicago along with
Fire Tools, a hero.
So we were We were pretty
Opie.
huge by our
Oh,
second
that's
show.
sick.
Yeah, Oipie and Bitdream,
Opie.
my friends in St. Louis, we are having a blast. The artists in St. Louis also make it hugely popular. Like
Mhm.
everybody that I've been able to work with here, if if it was not for the talent pool in St. Louis that is also into vaporwave, into
Mhm.
wavy music, into like it's a well-known secret that I have a very broad definition of wavy music and what I will
Ooh.
put on a vaporwave bill.
Explain
But
it.
that's part of that's part of being in a local music scene. You
Mhm.
have to bring people in, and
Mhm.
the way you bring people in is you take local people who are good, who have fan bases, who like what you're doing, and you put them on your bill, and they bring their friends to the show, and they hear vaporwave from another artist that I put on that night, and then they become a vaporwave fan, and the next thing you know, they're joining vaporwave groups, subscribing to vaporwave Twitter, and they're all
Hell
about it.
yeah.
That's how you grow the audience, is by you can't just stay focused on what's already here. You have to bring more people in. So a wide definition of what vapor.
Mhm. Wow, that's awesome. So like, yeah, I think you're an extremely influential person into the scene and that just like proves it. Um okay, so how how would you like to influence the community more with your like um with your event? I'm sorry. I'm like I have questions and I'm like, "Oh wait, is this what I said?" Yeah. I would just like to know like how you would like to influence more the community.
People in every city to
Mm.
kind of get the idea that having this is not out of reach.
Mhm.
There are some complicated things with that because I do believe that not every city, St. Louis is one of the top 25 cities in
Mhm.
terms of population in the country. Having that many people, I think, means that you should have a good vapor scene. So there should be 24 other cities that have awesome blooming vapor stands, and I can think of 5 or 6 that have
Mhm.
things uh, that, that are going off well. I can think of 5 or 6 more that are maybe going to start here as the COVID restrictions come off.
Mhm.
But that means there's room for 10 more.
Mhm.
It's like I just want more people to realize that if you're an artist and you know any other artists in your city, you can get excited about the music, about the scene, about the culture,
Mhm.
and like I'm a really privileged person in that I had a friend with a restaurant and I had access to a PA and I had the ability to lose a little money
Mhm.
on bringing in an artist if I didn't sell out.
Mhm.
So it wasn't not like I'm saying everyone can do it. I just want everybody to know that it's in reach, and that the other thing is you gotta like connect with people,
Yeah.
and in order to do that, you have to be cool. Like you
Yeah,
have to be
yeah.
nice and
Yeah.
friendly and warm, and like if you're gonna try to draw people to you, make it for the right reason. Like be
Mhm.
like super energetic and like adding gas to everything and be like, yeah, people love that shit. They
Mhm.
love it. So I just keep doing it because it's fun. Like
Mhm.
being around a bunch of people who are like, oh, this is so great. We're having so much fun. Like me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm also having a ton of fun.
Yeah.
It perpetuates itself.
That was like one of my first experiences with you because we met before at econ, and I have mentioned it before on my podcast actually, but you brought pizza to the line, pepperoni pizza, and I was like, oh, this is bullshit. It was so good. I loved that you did that, and like you were just like so much energy. You were like, I just walked a really long time. I don't know how long. And you were like all sweaty, but you were pumped. You were like, there, I'm here. Yeah. It was, and I remember also you dancing, and you and my ex-boyfriend were dancing, and that was awesome. I loved that experience. It was like, yeah. It was amazing.
Had an incredible time
It was an
in New
incredible
York
night.
City. Like
Mm-hmm.
I I and for me it was part of a bigger weekend. I
Mm-hmm.
got to see a cousin who lived in New York City
Mm-hmm.
who is working like you ever hear the stories about like lawyers at law firms
Yeah.
who have to work incredibly hard during those first like few years at the law firm so they make partner and they're
Uh-huh.
like working all the time and yeah, my cousin was going through that. She's working incredibly hard, but she was living in New York, and she's like, I'll barely be at my apartment except to sleep.
Oh
You won't bother me at
shit.
all. Come and go. So for me, I got to visit with family for a little bit.
Me
Uh,
too.
we went we went to the show the night before. That was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Baby's
That was
alright.
Carrot Affair and
Yeah.
surfing and Baby's All Right.
Yeah.
God, that was a great show. And then after
Amazing.
that, I met up with Trans World Airlines, and we met up with Manipool, who
Mm-hmm.
were at a Machine Girl rave in like Brooklyn. And the whole time,
Wow.
I just walked everywhere because I was so excited to be in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mean, every once in a while, if it was like, oh, that's 12 miles, in that case, I would get an Uber. But if I was
Yeah.
within 3 miles, I was like, I'm just gonna walk there. And so, man, we were
Mm-hmm.
just hoofing it, and it was wonderful.
Well,
I'm I'm incredibly thankful to George Clinton for
mm-hmm.
having something in New York that made me go because
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. Like I've again I feel like I'm coming from a very privileged place and I'm
Mm-hmm.
incredibly grateful for it. But I'm not the kind of guy that normally just says, "Oh, that's a really rad concert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to it." But it was freaking electronica. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I can't believe this is happening. It was incredible. So I went to it,
Mm-hmm.
and everything about being in New York was great. It was
Mm-hmm.
just great, like nonstop from front to back. And I've carried that with me and constantly think to myself, how am I creating this kind of experience for anybody that comes in contact with Vaporspace?
Mm-hmm.
How am I making it great?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, God damn, Vaporwave is just rad. That's all I wanted to say.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to know, like, uh, how how big do you want Vapor Space to be? Like, do you want to tour eventually? Like, have it reach the entire country, or would you like maybe 2 states and like George Clanton and have it like Electronicon? Or yeah.
Question about that in my own mind, and you have to understand, like, I'm I'm not from the industry.
Mhm.
I don't have a background in music. I have friends in St. Louis, people who own restaurants. Now I have a couple of club owners who know that I can pack their club with people that aren't shit people.
Mhm.
They like that. The club owners want me to come back and bring my nice, friendly crowd that you know don't break shit and love to dance to music that isn't awful.
Mhm.
And they want me to come into all sorts of places. That's really cool, but I'm very much an outsider, very much trying to do an independent art grind
Mhm.
while I'm a family man.
Mhm.
This is a hobby. This is
Mhm.
it can't. I don't feel like I can grow it to the point of something too big outside of St. Louis.
Mhm.
But your question, am I gonna tour? People are always being like, "Yo, why don't you come out to the city? Why don't you come out to the city?" And like every time I hear it, I just think to myself, "Wow, city with some guys." Like, and I wish it wasn't all guys. I should add that. I wish I had a more diverse group of artists that I was working with in St. Louis.
Mhm.
But that's not what you asked me about. But when people invite me to go to other cities, it becomes something that I instantly think of.
Mhm.
That is very tempting. I don't want to fly because I'm very anti-corporate, and
Yeah.
it's so weird, and I'm just gonna range like out of the
Fuck the
zone.
system.
But like the
Yeah.
the the amount of money it takes to fly somewhere immediately turns me off to the entire concept. I'm just like, well, that's too much money. I don't know. And it's
Yeah,
like I don't know why I
seriously.
think that like driving a car is so much more okay, but I feel like if I could get in the car with Sound Market and Bitdream and OIPI and TWA and get a much bigger car and also bring in everybody else that I've worked with over the years, bonus
Mhm.
points, QE, and just person to person. If I could do that, uh, I think it would work. I think it would work if there was a
Mhm.
couple people in a city, that wanted us to come through, and it was like a half day's drive. I mean, I think the best place for us to be would be Chicago because that
Mhm.
St. Louis and Chicago have had at least whenever I was coming up in the 90s and early 2000s, St. Louis and Chicago, their electronica scenes were pretty tight. There was a
Mhm.
lot of talent trading up and down Highway 55.
Mhm.
I would say that I heard during a part of the electronica scene that I was not very involved with having children and doing family man stuff with little babies. During the year, St. Louis kind of shit the bed with a lot of people in
Mhm.
Chicago and up north. And I'm hoping that I can repair some of that stuff because I still hear from people in Chicago. They're like, yeah, St. Louis used to be cool, but they're going to have to repair some of the things they did. I didn't do it there. I was basically out of the scene for a decade when I feel like the St. Louis and Chicago relationship fell apart. But
Mhm.
Chicago's the third largest city in this country. Like, why wouldn't I want to connect with the talent pool of people in Chicago? The
Mhm.
second show we did, we brought in two artists from Chicago, A Hero and Fire Tools, because Chicago is literally important. It is
Mhm.
an important city to me and to Vaporspace. Now, I have also found that I'm looking at other cities around us. Kansas City kind of holds a special space for me because they're in the same state. So I would like to see Kansas City come online and work with some Kansas City artists.
Have you thought of like
And
all of East Coast? Because that would be like, you could just take a train around. Well, I don't know, with a lot of equipment. But like the East Coast is so like together, you know, very close to each other. Like Philadelphia isn't much farther from like New York City. So like touring there wouldn't be that big of a problem, but I don't know. I'm not an event maker. I don't run a tour.
it's something that it's absolutely. You bring up an interesting point
Mhm.
because I am also not an event maker who doesn't know how to tour. Like
Mhm.
I can, but see, I'm an older dude,
Mhm.
so I've done all kinds of crazy shit at all sorts of different scales. Like I was involved in the Boy Scouts for a long time, and we planned all sorts of events. We went all over the country with a
Mhm.
troop of you know 15 people, and that takes effort and planning and work and kind of figuring out how things are supposed to go. I feel like I could do that, but I also feel like the music industry doesn't really want me to do that. Like the idea of getting into one place is hard enough. The idea of getting into five places that I'd like to be in over a reasonable amount of time to be like, who the fuck are you and who do you have? What?
Mhm.
No. And it would just be that simple. Like one of the things that I think is fair that George told me. He's like, you don't just make a scene happen with one event or overnight. Like, in order to make, I can't just go to a city that doesn't have a scene and turn out 150 people. I can't go to
Mhm.
Kansas City next weekend and be like, well, not next weekend, but later down the line when we should be doing all that. I don't think I can just turn out a crowd that's going to make a headliner pay for the event.
Mm-hmm.
But if I went to a place like Philadelphia where they have that scene, if I went to a place like LA or Orange County where they have that scene and an established group of people that are coming to these events already,
Mm-hmm.
you can make enough money on that party. But again, provided I don't have to buy 3 plane tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Because the plane tickets, like, that's why so much of this local music scene is always so regional. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
have to stick with people who got to have a car. You know, gigging musicians got to have a car and be willing to drive, 4 to 7 hours for a gig. And if
Mm-hmm.
that can happen, then we can really do it. That
Mm-hmm.
said, people fly here all the, like, I've had 3 or 4 artists fly through that I've got to pick them up from the airport. But
Mm-hmm.
to me, I'm like, that's all the money. Like, all the money
Mm-hmm.
just went to Delta. Like, I'm out here trying to support the arts, and you know who I
Mm-hmm.
supported? Delta Airlines and Hyatt Regency. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not why I'm trying to lose money. Honestly, if I'm gonna be out here and I'm gonna lose money, let me put it in artist pockets. Don't let me put it in Delta Airlines pockets, and don't let me put it in Hilton.
Mm-hmm. Pacific Plaza in the chat is talking about West Coast tour route has been made. Hee hee. We know where to go already, but there's this thing called a pandemic. Oh yeah, true. Um, that's why we gotta make some alliances with the DIY music scene outside of electronic music. It's tough in terms of long drives, but if you don't mind long drives, we know a lot of West Coast vapor people. Interesting. I was just like, Pacific Plaza, he knows about touring and stuff. he he understands the struggle, and yeah. If you have any,
And that's how it could be done.
yeah.
That is how it could be done. If
Mm.
if someone like Alex, who has been working and throwing shows in multiple genres,
Mm.
working to build goodwill in his region,
Mhm.
he can parlay that into getting into other spaces. Like I said before, there are people in St. Louis who know what Vaporspace is and are like, if you need a place to throw your show, I hear that you bring in good people and pack shows.
Mhm.
We have a space. But that doesn't translate to people in Baltimore.
Mhm.
It translates to people that St. Louis knows. And St. Louis knows people in Chicago, hopefully. And St. Louis knows some people in Kansas City. And
Mhm.
St. Louis knows some people in some other places. So the the coasts are rad. Like, that's why
Mhm.
everybody
Yeah,
likes to live and party on the coast. No
that's true.
no shade. Like, no shade to the West Coast, no shade to the East Coast. But the Midwest has, like, it's
Nothing.
longer drives. Like,
Yeah.
it's 5 hours to Chicago, it's 4 hours down to Memphis.
Mhm.
But there are cities. There are absolutely cities in that list of cities that can do this, that can
Yeah.
have a scene, that can have artists that want to come to St. Louis for gigs, that can gig in their own city, and then get artists from St. Louis come
Mhm.
down. Because I can tell you, the other thing about touring is I'm not an artist. Like,
Mhm.
I don't really need to go anywhere.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna. I could come and be all silly and have a mustache and smile at everybody, and maybe people would like that.
Yeah.
But
I like
what makes
that.
a Vaporspace party hype is these. I thank you very much. I like doing it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
love when you twist
what
it.
makes
It's just cute.
what makes the vaporwave parties exciting are these artists that I get to work with,
Mhm.
and they do want to party. Every single one of them would absolutely love to play another city, and you all should ask all these artists that you see on all of my bills, if you want to throw a party, you can ask them. And, like, if you're
Mhm.
the kind of person that throws parties, you should invite those people, and you should have them come through because they are ready to play. Because I work them out in St. Louis, and I tell them when their shit needs adjusting, and we're all getting better and better and better.
Mhm.
We're, our we're good. Our parties at the end were so fucking hype. It was just ridiculous. Man. We were just, wow! It was amazing.
Is it
They
difficult? Is it difficult to like work with artists from different regions? Have you had like a lot of people cancel or?
cancellation, and
Mm,
it was last minute and it was unexpected.
mm-hmm.
But if these things, I always prepare myself every show for something to go wrong. It's like there's no way
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning to the end of this without having to do something managerial or boss mode to figure this out, and that's my job. So I always expect it, and then I try to use my resources of general positivity
Mm-hmm.
to get people to fix it. Like, we gotta fix it. So I called a buddy, and surprisingly, people really, not surprisingly, I was being,
Mm-hmm.
people really want to play. Like, if somebody cancels, you can find somebody to take their place. It shouldn't be hard.
Well, that's
So
good.
cancellation, cancellation was no. I mean, you have to be willing to be flexible on genre. I
Mm-hmm.
lost somebody who was going to be he was a gloom hop producer, and I was really excited to have like hip hop forward, kind of wavy, slowed down shit on my
Mm-hmm.
show. We had never done that before, and I ended up trading it for an artist who was much more house. But
Mm-hmm.
that party was hype. We had a freaking blast. It's like as long as you're willing to be flexible and you can still have fun in an altered situation,
Mm-hmm.
no problem.
That's great.
And you know, I like being flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I understand that there are people in this world who are really rigid, and
Mm-hmm.
and that it's not easy for them to be flexible. They get their heart set on something, and things don't work out, and they get real pissed, and it becomes hard for them to be happy. I try not to let that be me. I
Mm-hmm.
try not to let that.
I can tell. I can tell you're so positive all the time, and I love that about you. I said that earlier. I really do. I appreciate that, and I am inspired. Um, okay.
I try to keep the timeline pretty happy.
Mhm.
I'm like everybody else. I'm I don't I don't mean to come off as inauthentic
Mhm.
because I don't feel like I'm lying. And whenever I chase this feeling, it's how you get it. You get it by chasing it. So sometimes I go through it just to chase it. But I, again, at the risk of sounding inauthentic, sad sometimes. I just try to keep it off the TL. It's
Mhm.
one of those things where,
Yeah.
and I don't always succeed.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll be grousing on the TL, and then everybody will reward me for my bad behavior by telling me how much they love me, and then I'll go, well, everybody made me feel awfully good for me being such a shithead on the socials. Oh well.
Well,
Yay!
sometimes I
I'm
I'm really bad with that. I'm very like emotional on the TL, but that's like my coping mechanism. Like I I reach out on social media to make me feel better. Because it's like therapy. Free therapy too.
really in this time of social distancing where we're not allowed to be around other people in this
Mhm.
way. It is so much more natural for us to look for these kinds of connections.
Mhm.
And I cannot imagine what it would be like to be a person who isn't like adult and married.
Mhm.
Like I live with three people that are my family that I adore. I have
Mhm.
I have a good family, and I'm grateful for that too. The the idea of going through this kind of thing in your early 20s when you are supposed to be making relationships with people or doing these kinds of things, I
Mhm.
can think of nothing more painful and isolating, and I'm just so sorry.
Mhm.
Like it like hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
So I I totally appreciate that everyone is going to use social media fucking differently, and I don't
Yeah.
care how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna tell you how to use Facebook or how to use Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
I just try to keep mine. I
Mhm.
just try to keep mine positive because if I'm sad, I try to, I try to talk that over with my family. I try to, talk that over with with different people because I want Vaporspace to just be happy and cool. That's
Mhm.
what I want. I want it to be really pure. I
Mhm.
want it to be really pure. It deserves it.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. Sleep Pattern in the chat has a question. Ronnie, what are the most common mistakes organizers make that lead to their downfall, and how did you overcome these mistakes as you made them? That's a good question.
Uh, well, um, I would think that um, some people think it's supposed to make money right away. I
Mm.
guess. I mean, the approach to it, I I don't really know. I feel like and I'm enabling an entire scene's bad behavior by having artists work for rates that are lower than they should be.
Mhm.
But I don't, man, I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know. I would say I went at this from the beginning thinking to myself, it does not matter if we make money or not. We can lose money on these and we threw a
Mhm.
lot of shows and we didn't lose that much money.
Mhm.
So I kind of felt like I was doing things pretty well. And as we were making a little more money, I started spending more money. I
Mhm.
started like being like, well, I really do want to upgrade this and I really do want to improve this. We improved flyers, um, we started doing some internet ads. Just we spent more money on things that I thought needed it.
Mhm.
And still, at nearly a year of throwing shows, we were just starting to operate in the black. I think we sold out our last two shows, and I feel like our last three shows were all operated at like either not losing money or even making just a little bit of money. So that meant
Mhm.
that for 9 months, I was looking at, oh well, we lost some money on that show, and we lost some money on that show, and I could absolutely see how somebody that would get into it and be like, well, I gotta make this, gotta make money.
Mhm.
I could see why they wouldn't do it, but like that doesn't
Yeah.
seem right.
But
It just doesn't seem right.
that goes for like
But
anyone who's trying to be a creator. Like literally, if you're in it for the money, like money could come and you could do that, but if you have that mindset, you will not go anywhere. Like cuz it shouldn't be you're making it what is it? Como se dice? Like oh my god, there's a word for this. Superficial. You're making your content superficial. It's not real. It's not what people love realism. They want, you know, they they want more than that. They don't want someone be like a money grab. They don't want a money grab. They'll sense that off the bat. Like seriously. So, yeah. That yeah, I agree. Shouldn't make it about money.
I see that.
Mm.
I think one thing I do see is an opportunity for me to spend more money than I can afford.
Mhm.
I would also say that like set even though I'm saying like don't chase money, you have to set up yourself so you
Mhm.
don't sink yourself.
Mhm.
It's like you don't want to
Exactly.
aim too high on the money front and you can't aim too low
You want
because people are
balance.
coming at me from my first and second show. They said, I want to photograph your show for $100. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I'm sorry, I can't afford that. Somebody said, I want to bring awesome sound to your show for $300. And I was like, man, that sound would be awesome. I can't afford that. And
Mhm.
someone was like, I want to do this, I want to bring you video for your show, or I can bring 10 dancers and hula hoopers to your show. Can't afford that. It's like there's
Mm-hmm.
opportunities
Mm-hmm.
for you to do things that you're like, that would be really cool and I should spend money on that, but don't do it. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
have to build slowly and
Mm-hmm.
correctly. And the way you do that is you have to get people who are down to contribute to the thing
Mm-hmm.
with sweat equity because they believe in the project.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sound Market Paul believes in this project. He works and invests time.
Mm-hmm.
And I work and invest time. And you know, that's something that we do because we really want to see it succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of becomes this thing where you have to have that. You have to say, well, I'm going to work and invest time because I want to see it succeed. And you
Mm-hmm.
probably need several people to do it. Like, again, so many other people. I bring up Sound Market because he's my partner since day one, but Trans World Airlines and BitDream and OIP and I know I'm just forgetting people, but like A Hero who came down, and like there are so many people in my city now who are just one after another being like, I really want to just contribute stuff. Now people are
Mm-hmm.
like offering to photograph our show and just I'll post them all to Facebook. I'm gonna come through. I'm gonna take great pictures and I'll post them all to Facebook. It's like, well, that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Find ways to get what you need in that DIY scene.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus points and Dewey and uh, Virtual Euphoria from Chicago and Stack Overflow. I can't forget him. Oh, one of the artists in St. Louis actually just is throwing. I've got a let me start over. I've got an event on Monday where a
Yes.
bunch of St. Louis artists that I work with are
Mm.
all going to be performing, and we're really excited to be part of the bigger St. Louis electronica scene here because we were invited to be part of this show. It actually starts tonight. I'm going to be dropping in there right after the podcast. So
Yay.
it's going to be an 8-night festival of electronic music. And one night is going to feature, 8 different Vaporspace artists that I've had the chance to work with over the years. So I'm incredibly excited about that and working on that. But they're just all adding so much gas. What was the question? Forgot.
That's all right. I actually have another question. Uh, how do you feel? Like, what are your opinions on live shows and URL shows?
I mean, I'm very, very excited to get back to the live space. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that is why I started it. And since I've thrown so many URL shows, since
Mm-hmm.
we've done it all, I will tell you, I am ready to not do them like this anymore. For the most
Oh,
part,
okay.
like it's not like I don't want to shut it down, but I'm ready for my streams to be of us being live. I'm We've been kind of working on some things with OBS and some streaming rigs that I'm very much hoping will be allowed to live stream our shows from the clubs when we do them and still
That's
have it be
awesome.
a special kind of stream. I'm hoping that we can make it work.
That's
Forgotten VCR is very
awesome.
excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely something that we've been kind of talking about and dreaming about. He is Forgotten VCR is my video wizard. When
Mm-hmm.
we were able to bring him into the team and have him start doing our live shows and explaining all the things that were possible, I think it really brought a new perspective to the project. And without Forgotten VCR, we never would have done any of the streaming shows. Like the
Mm-hmm.
streaming shows were absolutely thanks to him knowing how to do it because I did not. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, man, people want to do a show, and I just didn't have a clue. And
Yeah. I
like
understand that feeling.
the thing about the URL shows
Mm-hmm.
is like I had watched a bunch, and I was like, these kind of suck.
Oh wow,
Like
really?
I just kept watching people. Well, okay, so this was between March, whenever they can't shit canned our shows for April and May,
Mhm.
and between that and us getting started with our show in May that we did at the end of May to benefit Doctors Without Borders, our first
Mhm.
online show. And so I just watched all these URL shows, watched all these DJ sets, watched everybody who was live streaming, and I was like, shit, I don't want to do this. I do not want to watch people DJ in their bedroom with
Mhm.
their unmade bed behind them in their shitty room. I don't want to do this. It's like, how
Yeah,
do
not
we
put any
bring
effort. Yeah.
something? How do I was like, we have to bring something exciting to the table. We have
Mhm.
to bring visuals to the table. We have to bring something that people want to look at because I didn't want to look at any of the streams I was like, I don't want to look at that.
Yeah, I
I,
understand
I,
because
I love TV.
uh-huh.
I love TV. I'm a huge couch potato and would watch shows if I wasn't going out to party. If I'm
Mhm.
not going to see live music, I'll just watch TV. I love TV. There's no way I'm just gonna watch somebody DJ at a desk in their bedroom. Fuck that. No way. And that's
Yeah.
why it had like when it was time for us
It's
to
not
do a
aesthetic.
URL show, it's like we got to bring in something that looks really fucking cool. How can we do it? And
Mhm.
Forgotten VCR and Sound Market and I cooked up this crazy ass idea, and we brought in all these great artists to do it, and it was it was explosive.
Mhm.
Just love it.
That's amazing. Yeah, really love URL shows, and I love the fact that you are gonna continue them, but with the live setting, because I love that, like, you know, like with George Clanton and Econ 2, I couldn't go to Econ 2. Um, and he did a stream, like a live feed of the concert, and I was able to watch, maybe not have the same experience, but I was able to still kind of be there at home. And I love that idea that you're going to bring that to Vaporspace STL. That's awesome. Um, yeah. And I wanted to
Thank,
know.
I cannot thank everybody enough for supporting the project the way they have. Like
Yeah.
people all across the country come to our Vaporspace shows, and that's amazing to me.
It's sick.
It's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
It's it's really really
All around the
wonderful
world.
to be able to connect with so many people because prior to us throwing the URL shows, I had this much smaller focus just to St. Louis. I really wanted
Mhm.
to make something happen in St. Louis, bring everybody here, and then for the URL shows, it was like, well, let's cast the huge net. Let's get the whole the whole variety of people from New York to LA to
Mhm.
know about our shows and get them to come in and
Mhm.
it's been rad because when I throw my real life shows, I don't get to be with everybody,
Mhm.
but I do get to like I love going to shows. I love it.
Mhm.
I love going to shows. I love
Mhm.
live music. It makes me feel so hyped, and I think Vapor Wave is just rad as shit.
Mhm.
And listening to future funk and dancey vaporwave and experimental music and all the different kinds of things in a
Mhm.
live space with 100 people who are getting hyped. That is the shit.
Yeah,
So
it's
I can't wait to do that. I really can't. No, and I will absolutely miss rocking out on the chat with all my friends from coast to coast whenever we're doing that. So I'll have to keep
mhm.
going to URL shows too. I'll have to get in on the chat on the URL shows on Saturday night after we do the Vaporspace show.
Oh, Ronnie, are you still with us?
I am. I'm still here.
Okay. I'm sorry. Your camera like froze. It did that earlier, but then it stopped. Um, I could give you a moment to like come in, like leave and come back. That would probably work.
Good. You want me to like reboot the Discord.
Oh wait,
I can do
nope,
that.
nope, nope, nope. Never mind. Never mind. It's back. It's back. Awesome. I wanted to ask, you mentioned your family. How involved is your family with like what you do? Like, do you involve them a lot?
You know, I I really don't. My wife is into music like I am. She's not as into vaporwave as I am, but she likes electronic music, and there are lots of things that I can play for her that she really enjoys.
Mm-hmm.
My kids love everything that I play for them. They think music is super cool. They listen to all kinds of stuff. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like they get hung up on. I play a lot of music for them that isn't vaporwave or electronic music, but other music that I want them to hear. I'm kind of an older guy, so I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock that has nostalgic feelings for me. So I play a lot of
Mm-hmm.
classic rock for my kids. We were all over Men at Work, Down Under. I've listened to that song so many times in the last year, it's blowing my mind. But you know, just music is such an awesome feeling, and I
Mm-hmm.
love that my kids are into it. They like anything with a video too, so
Mm-hmm.
watching a video on YouTube, they prefer seeing something. We all watched the Daft Punk uh, video the other day of them live in Chicago in 2007, and they just thought that was the shit. And so they're asking me about the robot guys all the time, and they're like, "But they're in the pyramid, and do you know those guys?" And no, I don't know Daft Punk. They they like to watch my sets when they come in. I don't
Mm-hmm.
show them every set. I know I got a few people out there who put really violent stuff in their sets, and so I don't let them see those. But man,
Oh.
some of the sets they love Wizard of Loneliness.
Oh my god, he's
They
so
think
funny.
Wizard of Loneliness. They think he is the most hilarious person of all time,
Mm-hmm.
and so I always make it a point to share Wizard of Loneliness with them. Whenever after I watch the video, make sure there's no
Yeah.
naughty words, and then Wizard of Loneliness at some point. So they love
Yeah.
Wiz. Um, but there's also lots of other sets that we've had that really stuck out in their head. They
Mm-hmm.
loved the Dan Mason set from Vaporspace Online, our first party. They
Mm-hmm.
thought Dan Mason was the coolest dude they
I
ever
love
saw
Dan
in their
Mason
life when
too.
he did that set.
Yeah.
So
Did
Vaporwave is rad.
Did you show them
They like
any? Sorry. Did you show them any of the Halloween Vaporspace show? That
I
special?
think they saw. I didn't show them the mesh set, and I
Mm.
didn't show them. You know, some of them were really quite scary. I'm trying to like remember. I feel
They
like Seth
were.
Nova. No, Seth Nova was Midnight Munchies. I think
Mm-hmm.
I showed them very much of the Halloween one. I think I probably left that one out. Sorry guys, you can't watch this one. This one's for grown ups.
Yeah. That's why I was like, it's funny. What if? All right. So you work with a few people with Vaporspace, or I thought like, or is it just you?
No, well, uh, I absolutely could not do it
Mm-hmm.
without like my man Paul Dick, my man Paul Sound Market could not do it. Would not have started it without him. Forgotten
Mm-hmm.
VCR helped take our live shows to the next level and made the transformation into pandemic vapor space. You
Mm-hmm.
know what we could do on the Twitch streams. He made that entirely possible. So between me and Paul and Forgotten VCR,
Mm-hmm.
that trio is my St. Louis home team. We were
Wow.
working with Sheep in these last several shows to help us with promotion for our shows. I don't know exactly how Sheep is going to try to help us with our, but that's something that we're getting ready to talk about, and because live are now something that are coming back. So um, especially those people. You know, those are the people that are the core group of Vaporspace's planning idea. But I
Mhm.
cannot stress enough. I cannot stress enough the other folks that we work with in St. Louis. And like I'm gonna list them in a way that I want you to hear that it doesn't matter the order that I list them because they all are so freaking farking unbelievably helpful.
Barking.
Like I could not would not do any of it without them. But
Mhm.
like bonus points is has played our first show and he makes ice cold music, plays for us all the time, has done real life shows and URL shows. Crew homie, and I'm just so glad that he's with us.
Mhm.
Transworld Airlines helped me think about it in a different way because he's got probably the most experience in the vaporwave scene in St. Louis. Like he just goes back and he knows things that other people don't know. Like Transworld Airlines is like he is powerful, and I we he added a lot of gas to the Vaporspace project in both in the IRL space and in the URL.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, I've seen some of
dude,
the his sets and they're epic. I love.
I also feel like we're developing talent in
Mhm.
St. Louis is
Mhm.
another thing that super duper excites me. Like Oip played his first shows ever with us. A Hero played his first shows ever with us. Like
Mhm.
to have some of these artists debuting performances, debuting live performances with us and getting their feet wet like that, that's special to me and that's special to them and I'm very grateful for these young artists because I feel like, and I don't know this, but I feel like it takes a certain amount of courage
Mhm.
for someone who is as young, who might be under 20, to approach someone like me who is old,
Mhm.
and like to decide that this isn't a weird thing that I don't want to stay away from. This is something that I can get on board and add gas to. Like I bet it comes off as kind of weird. Like honestly, like I get it. I get that it all comes off as a little weird. But we're just trying, we just try to get over that by being real cool, being real on the level, and just follow through with some kick-ass parties. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
he's all right though, and uh, that's what we're going for.
I
But
was.
he's great.
That's awesome.
So many people would say Stack Overflow. I don't want to forget him. I don't want to forget Manipool
Mhm.
and Force Feeded. They are incredible St. Louis artists that have performed at multiple shows. We Manipool every time they play in St. Louis make that shit so hype. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, you got to understand, I was not prepared the first time that I booked Manipool for the music that Manipool and Force Feeded performed. I did
Mhm.
not entirely understand that I was booking the 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 hardcore rave energy that I got from them. And
Mhm.
when it first started, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Like, is this okay?" And as the party just went off to it, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is all right." But it was an eye-opening experience on I want to say our fourth party to see that we could experiment with genres so far removed from the chilled out vibe of vaporwave
Mhm.
and still get the party just lit on those kinds of harder vibes.
Hell
It was a
yeah.
great realization.
That's
Other
awesome.
folks in St. Louis have helped out too. There's Haptoclone, who I'm very grateful to know. He's an incredibly talented artist. We've also worked with Zavi, who is a future-based producer who is blowing up right now with like Porter Robinson remixes and all kinds of exciting stuff that he's doing. And then Arrow and Son has worked in St. Louis with us. Sailor has worked with us. Um, I just couldn't be grateful for the local talent that
Mhm.
we have here. And then my man Dewey, he is like a diamond that we were able to get connected with him and have Dewey love performing at Vaporspace events. Just incredibly talented musicians, DJs, and artists in St. Louis that I'm I'm lucky to know.
That's awesome. I love that. So much love. Is there an artist who you like extremely want to be on your event?
There's lots.
Huh?
I started. Oh yeah, yeah. I started off. I had a list. I had a list of 5 artists that were aspirational to me, and I've had out of those 5 artists, I've worked with 2 of them.
Wow.
So there are three. There are 3 artists out there that I would that are still, and you know, I don't expect really to make it work. It's cool to have goals. I mean, try to manifest shit. I write shit down.
Mhm.
Okay, I write things down so I keep my mind clear. So I have this list. Here are 5 artists that I would really like to work with, and I've drawn a line through 2 of them because I've worked with them, and that's really exciting.
Mhm.
That's a it's a great feeling. I've worked with 25 more shit. I've worked with nearly 100 artists that make me feel so proud that I've worked with them at this point. I will never feel bad about whether or not I get to work with these 3. Some of these 3 know who they are, and some of them have no idea. Some of them have no idea. Some of them I wouldn't even know how to get in touch with them. Like, so will I get to work with them all? I don't know, but I think I've moved the needle for
Mhm.
them in some way. Like I think, I, and it's
Mhm.
I expect the vaporwave community of St. Louis City to outlast me
Mhm.
and Vaporspace as it is now. That's what I really want. I want to be able to go to a show that I didn't throw.
Mhm.
I want to be able to go to vaporwave shows in St. Louis that I didn't have to throw because vaporwave artists come to St. Louis without me having to bring them. I think that that would really be rad, and it's happened a couple of times. You know,
Mhm.
I've seen some no kidding name names, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, I would like to know those 3. I'm very
I mean
curious.
I don't see there I don't see why any of these 3 artists would feel bad for me to name them as artists that I want to work with. But I don't want
Exactly.
every other artist to know that I've worked with to think that they're not them. I'm gonna
Mhm.
name the 3 artists that I have not worked with that I would still love to work with. And
Mhm.
they are George Clinton, they are Flamingosis, and they are 18 Karat Affair.
Oof.
If if
Oof.
if I could check out if I could check off those 3 artists, and the truth is I want to work with all of them on live shows,
Mhm.
and I really want to do that. So I would love to work with those 3. Like I would
That's
love to get
wonderful.
those 3 partying with me in St. Louis. That's really what I want. Just come and party with me.
You don't
Come
even
party.
have to perform. I mean, I'd like it.
I it'll get the party hype. You got to do a little something for the party. You're gonna need you to perform, but come on and party with me. I know, damn it.
Yeah.
Look, I know. Tell Dennis come party with me. I really would love all those things to happen, and
Mhm.
it would be great. the The issue that I have to admit right now is that I don't think I can swing the venue for any of them. And I think that that's something that is kind of a fucked up reality of COVID,
Mhm.
because I think that I can get into 100 capacity spaces. I could think of 3 that I could call and get into. And when it comes to 250 capacity, 350 capacity venues, I don't I don't know how I would get there.
Mhm.
I don't think I could get to into those spaces because everybody wants into those spaces, and corporate tours want into those spaces, and there's just not going to be a lot of, and some of them close down. You know, some of these
That
clubs that
sucks.
were open last year are closed now. So
Mm.
it's like it was hard before, and it's getting harder. So I don't exactly know how I get those three artists who are all really big, really talented, really incredible artists. They are all more difficult for someone like me to manage the logistics of setting up their show.
Mhm.
So, it's like I really want them, but I don't know what I'd do if I had. So it's kind of like
Mhm.
I gotta figure. It's like I'm trying to get bigger. I'm trying to grow into it. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know how to make it easy. I don't know how to make it easy. I
Yeah.
just keep working, trying to be positive.
Yeah. Well, I guess like focusing on the now and then like getting bigger and all that, that eventually you will have the space for them. So, yeah.
You know,
Keep doing
I
what you're
hope
doing cuz you're doing something right, you know?
COVID COVID's a monkey in the wrench. Like I don't know what it all. It was hard before. Like it was hard. You had to be willing to grind it out. You had to be willing to work hard.
Mhm.
You had to have passion and stay after it. I can't help but believe that COVID makes it harder. But
Mhm.
I don't understand, is that going to send people out of the scene and make room as time goes on? Are people going to see the opportunity? Because I feel like the thing that St. Louis is missing, the thing that I'm missing, is the venue, the right space, the right place to party that feels good, that sounds good, that is loud, that's vibey. That's
Mhm.
the thing that's missing. That's the thing we need. And there's all this dead ass real estate all over this motherfucking city. Like, why doesn't, and it just feels like it's owned by shadows. Like
Mhm.
like it just feels like it's all corporate owned, and they don't want anybody to be in it. And I don't fucking get it, and I hate it. Like it makes me crazy. Like I do not understand why we can't, why it's so hard to find the space for the music. But
Mhm.
clubs are closing, and sound systems have been sold out of the city since COVID has happened. I
That's
know
crazy.
I can. It's bad. It's bad. So when we go back, it's it was hard before. It's just going to be harder. Just
Mhm.
got to work harder and be more patient.
Mhm.
And some of those artists, the three that I mentioned, I feel like two of them have the ability to overcome the. I feel like the inevitable corporatization of some of these venues because they're making money, making big money.
Mhm.
And I feel like that runs the music industry. And as long as you're making big money, people are going to let you come in and play. So I hope that some of those artists make it to St. Louis, and when they come, I'm just going to dump gas all over it. Like I'm going to do whatever I can. Like they're going to come to St. Louis without me, and I'm just going to make everybody go to the show. They're going
Mhm.
to sell out, but they're going to sell out the show. I don't. How can I make it pop? Wouldn't it be cool if they came and then they did their show at the big venue, and then they partied at an after party with me? Or wouldn't it be cool if they did their show at the big venue on a Thursday night, and then they did a more intimate, like sneakily produced, sneakily promoted show with me the next night on a Friday
Yeah.
or a Saturday?
Like baby's all
How could
right.
That's what I gotta figure out.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta figure out because I cannot get the big show in the big bar.
Mhm.
Never. I don't get to play in that pool. They don't want me there. I'm not sure I want to do what it would take to get in it.
Mhm.
Man, this feels more fun.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I
Well,
want to see it happen.
mhm.
I just don't want to do it.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone wants that like more intimate situation. Like fans and stuff would probably prefer not a big venue but a smaller one, so maybe they could actually meet their fave and stuff. So, I don't know. It would be nice if they were open. Let's make it happen. Let's just like let's put pressure on it. But we're at the halfway mark. I would like to ask people in the chat, do you guys have any questions for Ronnie? He's open for business. Let's go. What genre of music would you like other than vaporwave to be at your show? I know you mentioned that you have like local bands, but what is something that you just like want to be represented that's not vaporwave?
Cool. Like, okay, I went to my first St. Louis rave
Mm-hmm.
at a very young age in 1995. So I was going to raves when I was probably too young to be there, but was there from 95 to through at least a little bit after college, 2003, 2004. I DJ'd my last gig in 2006. As I'm in this vaporwave community, I'm meeting all these people that I know were born, at the tail end of that, and didn't really get to hear a lot of the house music or the electronic music or the ambient music or the second room music or the jungle music or anything that didn't become a hit that made it punch through the 90s that still hangs out now. I'm not talking about the Chemical Brothers and Boards of Canada because we know that's the shit, but there's all of this underground, I mean, just so much of it created during that era that I listened to and loved. I'm trying to find and work with DJs who played in those days, and like people don't want to do nostalgia sets either because it makes them feel super old, and they're like, but there's good music now, and it's like, but I want you to play to an audience that might not have heard any of it before. I want you to play the records that were in your box in 1997 to this crowd that wasn't born until 2001. Like, I want you to do it. And so, like, one of the things that I like to hear is late 90s house, late 90s underground, late 90s jungle, things that I like to dance to at the raves that I was at.
Hell yeah.
I want to add those DJs. Now, again, it adds this weird vibe to your show because you're like, hey, check out my slate of artists that range from between like 49 years old and 19, and everybody's just like, what the fuck kind of show am I at? And I just wanted to be a good part.
Yeah. Well, that's like inclusive. That's what this generation loves, is inclusivity, and that's awesome. All right, we'll start with Shiro's question because it's cute. Ronnie, do you love me? That's Isaac.
Of course I love you, Isaac. Of course. I'm trying to see like how close my nearest young Shiro sticker is.
Oh, he's sending me one.
And I'm coming to like this. Okay, this has been really cool because when I go to these cities, I'm going to your house. When I I'm coming over to your house. Not that I ever go to Vegas, but now I have a reason to go to Vegas. And at this point, it's all about like, go see my friends. Of course, I love you.
You should also be on Hot Takes. Let's make that happen. I think you have like some hot takes about the community. Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm scared to share them.
I'm
scared to share them. I don't want to stir up controversy. Controversy.
Controversy.
I don't want to, but I will. I might.
Shiny Crystal Pistol asks, how long did it take you to grow that stash, Ronnie? Oh, that's a cute.
I could shave it off. I could shave it off, and you would be like, "Hey, nice stash." In about 4 weeks, you could shave it off tonight. In 4 weeks, you'd be like, "You got a good looking mustache." This particular one has been hanging out for a little bit too long, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been trimming it a bunch, so
You,
I mean, it's
you're giving me gender envy, Ronnie. That's what
that
you're
doesn't
giving
count.
me. I want a mustache as magnificent as yours. Look at it.
I will tell you,
It's
I think
ravishing.
it's I think it's a good icebreaker. I think
Mhm.
it is something that puts people, when you're super friendly with your mustache,
Oh,
people, I don't know, people think you're just a silly guy. I'm just a silly guy. I mean, my mustache is
yeah.
silly as shit. I'm just silly.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I would like that. Um, all right. Porter Vong asks, question for Ronnie. Do you find that you can balance being a promoter and mentally detaching from social media? And what are your biggest challenges being such a social figure? That's a great question.
He's you're reading my mind, Porter, and I feel like uh, I hate social. like I, I I like it and I hate it. I feel like
I
the
feel the same.
if you've seen the movie The Princess Bride, there's a machine. It's a very elaborate machine that sucks life away from you. And they take the hero character in the movie The Princess Bride dies at the hands of this machine that sucks all the life out of him. And he just screams like intensely while it's going this. It's a great movie. Anybody who hasn't seen it should watch The Princess Bride. But I feel like social media is this great and complex machine that sucks your life away. And it's painful as it gets ripped out of you. And I am addicted to it in a way that I continue to identify and struggle with. I do things that we meme about and joke about where you close Twitter and then within the very next action you open Twitter.
Mhm.
I I do these things and the mindlessness of it bothers the ever living shit out of me. And I can tell myself that it's work. I can tell myself that I'm adding gas to the Vaporspace project that and when I retweet my friend's
Mhm.
hot shit, when I see something good happen from what I did on the internet, it makes me feel great. But I feel like I am being socially engineered by an organization that does not have my best interest at heart every single time I interact with Twitter and Facebook. How's
Mhm.
that for your good vibe? You can only get it here, folks. Because
I.
I can't post that shit on the timeline. I can't post that shit on the timeline.
Mhm. Well, like it feels like it's a necessity for promoting yourself or like communicating, especially during a time like COVID where we're all inside. It feels like a necessity, but at the same time, yes, it is a machine that sucks your life away. I find myself scrolling for hours way more than I find myself actually doing things. And it's so, it's like,
I
how do I,
I feel like I'm sick. I feel
yeah.
like I'm sick and it's getting worse. And,
Mm
and I'm hoping that when we can step away from the COVID experience,
hmm. Mm
that I can get clean.
hmm.
But
Mm hmm.
I that's junkie talk.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I hope I can start getting better later.
Mm hmm.
It's like I really do. I
Mm
really
hmm.
hope that I can use it less. And you know, I hate to say this, but like I've kind of alluded to it before. Like I can't I'm not going to be able to do Vaporspace as even a live show project like out into 2025.
Mhm.
Like it's got a much shorter window of my involvement in it. You know, there's a few more years or a few more months at least a few live shows, right? That I want to get out there before I have to step away.
Mhm.
But like some point I'm gonna be moving back from all of this, and I cannot wait to stop fucking around with social media like this. Cannot wait.
Mhm.
Just,
I agree.
but I'm still like I'm still loving it somehow. Like I said, it it hits me with exactly the endorphins and the little rushes of serotonin that you get when your notifications go up and when you get a shitload of likes. I mean, I am
Yeah.
susceptible to all of that.
Oh
It
my
makes me
god,
feel
yeah.
good. It makes me feel happy.
Mm.
Like, let me see the numbers. Let me see my stats. And
Yeah.
I don't want to live like that. I do not want to live like that. But
Yeah.
this is all part of people that I think don't really like me.
Mhm.
They have built this system to take stuff from me, and it's working too well, and I'm
It's too
annoyed at it.
well. Mhm.
That's how I feel about it.
I would like I would like a balance. I'm not getting a balance. I'm so addicted right now, and it feels like poison. I just want a balance because I see the good and I want to use it for just the good and not for the mindless scrolling. That's my hope for like
And
that.
it's like it's even hard to know. You know, it's
Mhm.
hard to know because like you see people getting glow up because they're having a good time in this thing.
Mhm.
Uh, um, and you start to think like, oh shit, that's kind of fucked though. But
Mhm.
then I look at my vinyl collection and I'm like, look at all this plastic all these consumable plastic discs that my demand has just wreaked upon the environment, and I'm gonna stomp around on somebody who, well, your NFTs are using all this fucking energy. Just like, ugh, we're just set in this system where we cannot win, so we gotta just start being nice to each other because that's the only fucking shot
Mhm.
that we've got at anything feeling good.
Mhm. Well, if
So
it
just quit.
if it makes you feel any better, I don't know if this is the complete truth, but I read that 70% of the environment problem is like oil companies. And it's really their fault. So if that makes you feel any better that you're actually not the biggest problem with the vinyls.
we get we get trained we get
Mhm.
trained by these corporations to take it out on each other.
Mhm.
We get conditioned by these corporate monsters
Yeah, they want to
we're
make
supposed to blame our neighbors. We're
exactly.
supposed to blame people on our level. Don't blame them. And I like I don't know, guys.
Mhm.
I don't have a positive feeling about the future. I don't.
Mhm.
I don't want to bum you all out with that. Which is
Mhm.
why I kind of just want to party.
That's
It's like
part.
if there is if there is no
Mhm.
future, if there is, let's make the most of the present.
Mhm. Yeah, let's live every
Is that
day like it's our last.
I don't, is that okay? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. But I'm trying not to be a shithead while I'm doing it.
Mhm.
So like I'm probably still gonna buy consumable plastic discs, and I'm buying them to collect on a wall behind me so I can feel good about all my shit. Like, look at all my cool shit. Makes
Mhm.
me awesome. But
It does look cool.
disgusting.
I mean, why don't you like talk about your background? Like, let's go into it. Oh, yeah, let's go.
Sure. I mean, I'm I'm an incredibly privileged human being from the day I was born
Mhm.
all the way through to today. I'm also kind of a malfunctioning person. One
Mhm.
of the biggest things that happened to me was getting arrested for marijuana in
Oh
2000
wow.
and having like a misdemeanor weed possession essentially take me out of the job market for since then. Like couldn't get a job. Like I was a high school math teacher, and so I was applying to high schools within 1 year of having a marijuana arrest on my record. Again, misdemeanor possession. This wasn't like anything out of control, but I was completely unable to find work as a math teacher.
That's
And
crazy. That's
years
terrible.
later, years later, people like principals and people that I would talk to would be like, "Oh yeah, but we know, you had that marijuana arrest," and it's like, okay, so I lost my career, and I
Wow.
did some tutoring. I've been a math tutor over the years, and then when my wife and I had children, I've been a full time dad ever since. So it's like it was kind of weird, it's just kind of strange that I would have everything taken away from me over a misdemeanor weed arrest. It was like I even got a good lawyer and like, but people didn't have to hire you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh no, pothead, we can't have a pothead in the school.
Christ.
So that was that was kind of a that was a derailing moment that also led to this endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I think what brought me to here was in 2017. After being kind of just a dad, stay-at-home dad, my kids on my knee, I realized I'd gained a lot of weight, and
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling pretty heavy, and I realized that I had about 80 pounds to lose, and
Mm-hmm.
I lost it. I went on Weight Watchers and I started exercising and eating right and lost 80 pounds. And upon losing 80 pounds, I felt like $1 million and had so much energy
Aw.
that it was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with all this power that I have? And I decided to go catch a George Clinton show in Chicago because he was not touring, he was playing a one off show on the strength of Slide and connecting with Equip for a show. And I've driven to Chicago before. I have family up there that can put me up if I need to go see a show.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, yeah, come on through. And I'm feeling great. I'm losing weight. I see this George Clinton show in Chicago and it blew me away. Like it was such a great vibe. The
Mm-hmm.
show in Chicago made me feel like this was something that I wanted to bring back to St. Louis, and I just started working towards it
That's
and working
wonderful.
towards it and working towards it based off of the 2017 Thanksgiving George Clinton show in Chicago, and we threw our first show 5 months later in April. Me and Paul. Like the whole drive home from Chicago the next day, just 5 hours in my car, listening to vaporwave on my Bluetooth speaker and thinking about, I'm gonna go back to St. Louis and I'm gonna find there's got to be some people making this kind of music, and I'm gonna connect with them. And who can I talk to about where can I throw a show? I mean, somebody surely will take a chance on a show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who do I know that's got a PA system? And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I posted on Reddit the next day, like, who in St. Louis wants to work on a vaporwave scene? Heard from Paul out of nowhere, just found him on Reddit, random, random want ad,
Wow.
and off to the races, off to the races. I mean, him and he's like, yeah, I make vapor trap, kind of blank banshee, vapor kind of vibe, and I'm like, right on, let's go for it. And you and he did all this legwork finding all these other artists in the St. Louis and Midwest region. He's also a trained sound engineer, so
Mm-hmm.
he's been going to college for sound engineering, so he can run the PA. Nobody should let me around expensive stereo equipment without a supervisor.
I totally feel you. I cannot work. I can't work. I could barely work my computer It's a surprise to me that I could do this. But I made it work. And I'm here with Ronnie. Yeah.
I'm very thankful for my ambitious technological friends who know stuff, because I don't make me know stuff.
Yeah. That's incredible. So you are, that is just like inspiring. So you took what, like, the situation that happened to you, and you switched it around. You were like, yo, you found someone, you were motivated by George Clanton. He should feel good about himself.
I've told the story
And you created
to lots of folks. I've mentioned it in his Discord. I hope he's heard it. You know, like I would assume at this point he's bound to have heard it. I mean, guys, it wasn't. You wouldn't believe it. Like, I really elbowed my way in over the course of that night. I had it all planned out because I was driving from St. Louis. I was driving from another city. And I was like, well, I'm going to go see George Clanton. I love Slide. And I was like, I'm going to join his fan club. So I joined his fan club 2 or 3 weeks in advance. After I bought the ticket, I was like, I'll bet if I join the fan club, I'll be kind of on an inside track. I can at least tell him that if I get to see him at a show. Hey, man, I joined your fan club. And he'd be like, oh, that's cool. Something to say back to me. I traveled with a joint to share in case George or Aaron or Kevin wanted to smoke weed with me. I was available to offer and share that.
That was smart.
After the show, yeah. And that night, I got to tell you, George talked to everybody at that show for as long as he could possibly manage. Like, this was when, this was pre-Electronicon. And this was and George was headlining. So the number of people was like less than 250. And he made time for every single one of them. Like, they had to kick everyone out because George was sitting there talking to 35 people at the end of the night. I mean, wow. Kevin was up there. The artist that made the poster, Drew Eyes, was up there. Aaron Shadrow was playing drums for George at the time, and Aaron was there. Home was there. Randy Goff, I believe is his last name, but he is a Chicagoan and was there. And I'm standing in this room with this incredibly talented people, and I'm nobody. I'm just a guy up there at a show who joined the fan club. And George was so fucking cool to me. Like, he was just like totally rad. And George was like, well, I gotta go tear down my stuff. But they want us all the hell out of here because they were changing the club over to a reggae night. And so George is tearing down, is decamping the stage, and I'm outside with Aaron and Kevin, and they didn't kick me out. So I just kept hanging out. I didn't have anywhere to go except to my aunt's house at like 1 a.m. I was just going to go to bed.
Yeah.
I just hung out, started smoking a joint. We're all hanging out, smoking joints. We're on the streets of Chicago. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. These restaurants are all smelling like tacos and pizza. And I'm like, yeah, I could have a taco right now. And everybody decides to go for pizza. So the next thing I know, I am at Demo's Pizza in Chicago with Kevin and Al D and Aaron Shadrow and George Clanton. We're chilling, having pizza in Chicago. They just didn't kick me out. Like, that's at any point, they could have been like, hey, dude, we don't really know. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? But they didn't. I don't know how that happened, and it absolutely changed my life.
Wow.
I don't know how that happened, and it absolutely changed my life. If those dudes hadn't been like, come on through, have pizza with us, I don't think I'd drive home the whole next day thinking about how cool that shit was and how I'm going to make Vaporwave happen in St. Louis.
That's amazing.
Like, I hope George knows.
Yeah.
I just hope he knows. Because he could have been, any of those dudes,
he does.
At any point could be like, we don't know you, oh, you can't get pizza with us. I'm George Clanton. This guy is my drummer. I'm here to see my friend Kevin, GTFO. But they didn't.
Well,
because I was nice.
Because you're cool. I was
being really nice.
Yeah.
I
They
think
could
that's what I
sense
did,
your
and they're
vibes.
really nice.
Yeah. Well, they are real
I
people. They're not just like, and they're good people. You could just tell. I mean, I only have the social media, you know, idea of them, but they seem to be extremely good like, well, they're friendly. They seem to be extremely friendly. Like Kevin, he talks to people, he follows people. George, he promotes people so much, as much as he can, all the time. He just is always trying to help or boost someone, and that's cool.
like you're absolutely right, and
Mm-hmm.
they are so authentic.
Yeah.
Has been my experience. Like the consistency suggests that it all comes from a place that is incredibly authentic.
Mm-hmm.
They're very real, and the energy that you get from the people that they surround themselves with, the people
Mm-hmm.
that are close to them, you can tell that they do care about people making this a positive thing, not a negative petty thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's maturity and responsibility, and there's effort putting into doing a good job. And
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate what they're doing. And
Yeah.
again, they just were so friendly and authentic that it made an instant impact that changed my entire trajectory.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's it's an inspirational story. Let's see if
I
people.
don't think they can do that for everybody.
Yeah, I think there were
I
more
feel like
questions. Oh yeah, here we go. No Genki asked a question. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately. As a man of your age, you've collected a lot of paraphernalia and genre specific tools via your work and love. Do you plan to teach your kids to follow in your steps or have that available to them as a resource? That's a beautiful question.
I'm into it. I love the fact that I grew up in a house where my dad had records.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had a record collection. He also had tape, and they all came to me. As my parents split up whenever I was 20, and at that point it was people weren't enamored with their vinyl collection. My dad didn't take it with him, so like all this vinyl became mine. I have my dad's extensive record collection.
Wow.
Uh, it's so I have all this music, and it's like I love that my kids are growing up with records. I love that my kids are growing up with cassette tapes. I
Mm-hmm.
can't believe it. Eventually, like one of the first things that they're gonna get probably is a CD player. Because man, I got all these CDs too. I've got no no Genki is absolutely right. I have a lot of bullshit. It has acquired all around me. And like I'm not gonna touch my camera that is beautifully placed, but like everything that you don't see is record stacked up to my goddamn ears.
Oh my
So
god.
it's like I feel like I'm drowning in some of this media and just crap that I've acquired, but I'm not the Depop kind of guy. Like I just maybe I should be, because I do believe that I have treasures that people want, and I hate the idea that somehow some of them are like spoiling in my care.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they would be better served in someone's places, but one of the things that always stays my hand, excuse me, is the notion that my kids might want to check it out. So it's a really astute question. Like, am I gonna give it to my kids? Yeah, it's all for my kids. They can have it all. Like, I don't. And I'm also completely divorced from the idea that like they can they can do with it what they want. It's like I'm not gonna get upset if they play an expensive record and hurt it. Like it's not going to be the kind of thing that I'm gonna, because I've got so many records. I'll listen to a different record, or I can listen to it on vinyl. I don't want them to ruin records. I want to teach them how to do it right. But this everything I have is everything I have is theirs. This whole world is theirs. I don't want any of it. I'm just trying not to toast it too bad before I'm gone.
Mhm.
But I want my kids to appreciate music the way I do and art the way I do, and uh, I want them to be excited about underground culture.
That's
And
special.
it might break my heart a little bit if they decide to love the pop scene. Like if I can't direct them away from mainstream culture and towards an underground culture, that might disappoint me. But I also feel like underground cultures are not always great. Like
Mhm.
there's toxicity in there. There's toxicity in mainstream culture too. So it's I don't know. But yes, all
Well,
this stuff it's all for my kids.
yeah, well, you could teach them to love all of it. So, like have a variety of music that you listen to. You could listen to pop because it has its merits, but the underground is cool. And people would probably think you're cool. Like, whoa. That's cool. Yeah, if I were to ever have kids, which I really don't want to, I would probably save all my items and give it to them. I like, I guess I get this from my mom. Things that I've been given, or things that I have, like, they mean a lot to me. And if I were to have kids like you, I would probably want it to go to a good place with my children if I had them, which I'm never.
When
Vong?
you get something when you, yeah, when you get something like this, and
Mm-hmm.
when something like this comes in the mail and you're not expecting it, and you get a tape, and you get a magazine, and then you get some special cologne. These things are
So
so fucking cool. You just want to give everybody the opportunity to see the creativity that comes out of the scene.
cool.
So like I love having this stuff. I try to have like this revolving area where the shit is out there. I take a lot of it to Vaporspace. I was
Mm-hmm.
taking it, I should say. Taking a lot of it to Vaporspace parties. Like I brought all my private suite magazines to every Vaporspace party that we went to. I just laid them out on tables and
Yeah,
half them up at the end of the night. People wouldn't, I just wanted
yeah.
people to see what we were doing.
Yeah, I remember your Zines. I wasn't in the fan club when you were handing out the Zines at Econ. And I did not luck out on that. I did not. I joined that night though. But
Well,
I looked into it and it was like really well made and professional. I loved it. And you gave that to everyone in the fan club.
that was one of the first things that I'd worked on with Forgotten VCR. That was one
Mhm.
of our first combined projects, and the whole purpose of that was I was going to the Electronicon
Mhm.
and was so excited. My wife was like, "Yeah, okay, we can free up some money for you to go to New York for the weekend and go to this concert with not me, and I'll stay home with the kids. You have fun."
Not
And
me.
I was like, I was like, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to travel across the country for a show, I'm going to make it worth it. So I want the people that I meet, I want to give them something that will make them remember me,
Mhm.
because I want them to come to St. Louis. I want them to, whenever they tell their tour guy, I don't know, where do you think you can perform? I want St. Louis to be one of those things that came up. So I made 100 copies of the zine.
Mhm.
Here's my copy. It says me. I made 100 copies of the zine, and I earmarked them for everyone performing at Electronicon 1. And then I had spent all this time in this fan club, and had really made some wonderful connections with people in the fan club. So I wrote down those names as well, and earmarked the rest of those zines. And like we printed 100, it cost me stupid money to make all these color copies and chop them and all that kind of goofy shit.
That's
And
cool.
it was one of it was, but everybody remembers it. And
Mhm.
the goofy guy with the mustache at the Electronicon gave you a zine and was like, "Yo, come to St. Louis." And like, man, the message just came through. It just
Mhm.
came through. It just worked. I
I'm
I feel good about it. Once again, 2019 for vaporwave was a lucky year for us to decide to get active because when we started, we did not know that George Clanton was going to throw two Electronicons, and when
mm,
he did, we tried to make the most of it, and I feel like we did. I feel
mhm.
like we definitely did. I just,
Yeah, that was
I mean,
life changing for me. I wouldn't be here doing this if it weren't for econ. I wouldn't have.
I could not.
It was so amazing. I barely knew like anything about vaporwave, but that experience like made me obsessed with it. I was like, "Oh my god, I need to listen to more." I started researching. I got into the rabbit hole. Yeah, that I love your background. Yeah.
People were like asking to see what other records were there, and it's kind of, it's like I said, it's a big collection and it's growing, but
Yeah.
it's this is just a small collection.
Well, there were some more questions. Porter Vong asked, question, who is OP and how did he become a staple of Vaporspace STL? Love his shit.
Me too. Uh, Oip is he is a St. Louisan, and this we had Oip through for our second ever show. That also included Fire Tools and A Hero from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Paul Sound Market and I threw our first show, and it was at the Benton Park Cafe, and we had plans to throw a second show 5 or 6 weeks later. And I had said, I don't want to repeat any artists. I want there to be different artists, at this next show, and you can play again in like another deal, but I want to bring in some other people. So we were constantly like looking for artists. And one of the things that I was also feeling was I wanted to debut artists. So
Mm-hmm.
my goals for the show were I wanted to have a headliner, and we met that with Fire Tools. I thought having Fire Tools through was going to be really, really awesome, and that it was going to connect Vaporspace to the experimental and DIY music group scene in St. Louis instead of just the EDM scene, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of where I had been. And they don't always overlap. So I thought by having Fire Tools, I was going to start to connect with this other group that would be interested in what we were doing. Um, and we were looking for more local people.
Mm-hmm.
And Oipi had never performed before, but his dad is in a synthwave band here in St. Louis, whose show I went and flyered at. And I handed his dad a flyer and was like, "Hey man, I'm doing this vaporwave show. I was flyering for our first event." And he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh man, vaporwave. My son is into vaporwave. He's listening to all this kind of vaporwave stuff. I like it. I think it's cool." I was like, "Well, right on. Here's this guy playing synthwave whose son listens to vaporwave." And he's like, "He makes music too." I was like, "You should put me in touch with him." And
Wow.
pretty much at that point, it was like, if I was going to meet anybody that was into vaporwave, I was going to, and was making music, it was like, well, I'm going to give you a chance to come and perform with him. And he's doing an Ableton set. His dad has a lot of experience in music production because he's been in a band, his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And Oipi's this young guy from St. Louis. He's graduating from high school this year. So
Wow.
I'm working with this
So
incredibly
young.
young artist, and the, cool, come on through. And his dad helped us with some technical stuff to get ready for Fire Tools because Fire Tools had I don't want to say demanding, but had specific things that she was wanting for her visual set, and I needed to source it without buying it. And Oipi's dad was like, "Yeah, I've got a big screen that we can use," so that worked out awesome. And so at my second show, I'm cooperating with Oipi and Oipi's family,
Mm-hmm.
and he comes to the show, plays this set, and he brings this crowd of high school people to my show
Wow.
who are hype as fuck. And like this was my second show. My first show, guys, I got to tell you, guys and friends and gals and everybody, I got to tell you, I brought in a lot of my old ass friends who don't give a shit about music to fill my first show. At the second show, having 20 people who were under the age of 20 show up and dance their ass off from Oipi, my opener, to the end of the night, that was so hype I couldn't believe it. I mean, we got this infusion of like young,
Wow.
youthful energy, and his set was insane. So it was like, well, you are now a Vaporspace artist, and I'm gonna make sure that you get invited to shows on a very regular basis because we need this vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to play for us 6 times over the last year, 5 times over the last year. I try not to do anything. I try not to wear anybody out. I
Mm-hmm.
want it to be fun. I don't want people to be like, God damn it, I'm always doing shit for Vaporspace. I don't want that. And I don't want anybody to get sick of anybody. I
Mm-hmm.
want everybody to keep it rare. So, on a 2 month basis, let's have people come through. And Oipi comes through every time with hot shit. And he's playing tomorrow night. And I've seen the set, and it is fire shit.
Hell
So come through
yeah.
Monday night to see some Oipi.
Yeah, to tomorrow night, March 15th, you have a show. I'm gonna bring it up. Uh, uh the poster. Let me see.
Very excited about it. I'm super stoked. I'm working on 2 URL things now, and one of them is tomorrow. The other one is April 2nd, and that's the Catskill Record uh, launch fest for the Fake Fever album. And I get to host that with Pad Chennington. I'm super excited about that. Um, but it's been great.
Mm-hmm. You have Sound Market, Spike Stevens, Bonus Points, Dewey, Trans World Airlines, TVC 95, Stack Overflow, Spike Stevens, OP. I'm so bad with his name. Chess King. And Jebber. I forgot to say Jebber. That's sick. I'm super hyped for
It's
that.
gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. And the exciting thing about that is, in St. Louis,
Mhm.
Space is kind of a new kid on the block. Like
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, we are a new company. We've only been around since 2019, and a lot of the other people participating in this week long, of which we are just Monday night. People who have been making music in St. Louis for 10 and 20 and in some cases 25, 30 years.
Mhm.
So I'm incredibly like, whoa, blown away that we got asked.
Mhm.
Um, this is kind of commemorating a St. Louis club called the Upstairs Lounge.
Mhm.
And the legit claim, the reason that I was told that it was cool that they asked me is because I played the Upstairs Lounge as a house DJ in 2006, and they really like our vibe.
Wow.
So I was like, well, all right. I sure am glad I played that 2006 gig. And, St. Louis, people want these spots. People are excited to be part of this festival. I'm
Mhm.
excited to be part of this festival. It's a big honor to bring Vaporwave to something. I mean, it's going to be full of jungle and drum and bass and house music and dubstep and and
Hell
the
yeah.
music that sells and packs these clubs. And then on Monday night, I'm going to take them to the Vapor, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, that's
I'm really
awesome.
hype, 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 hype.
Yes, that's awesome. I love it. I am gonna be there. I'm gonna not be square. And I hope everyone in chat I hope everyone in chat will party with Vaporspace. Yeah.
It, it's not going to be. I'm going to host it on our Twitch channel, so
Mm.
you can go to twitch.tv/Vaporspace STL, and that will get you to the show. But it's going to be on the St. Louis Drum and Bass Crew Selecta with a K, It's going to be on their Twitch channel,
Mhm.
and I think, and I know, and I'm not trying to be salty or sore about it, but I know that a lot of the people in St. Louis who do electronic music, including the people on this bill, have actually not checked us out yet.
Mhm.
They they might not have been to they might not have been to one of my shows in real life. They might not have ever come through and checked out of our streams. I'm not saying that none of them have. I know we've got supporters all over this town, and I love them for it. But I am excited to show us to people who might be checking us out for the first time and get to like learn about what we are doing. It's a
That's
good
great.
opportunity, and I think especially if you all come out and you all talk to us, I think you'll be making people take note of what Vaporspace is all about. I think I
Yeah.
think this big active chat is really going to blow people away. Thank you,
See that.
Shiny Crystal Pistol.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I think that's what like you're so influential to the scene. Like you're trying so hard to get it out there, and in the Midwest, right? Midwest. Yeah. And that's so like honorable and amazing that you're like trying to bring it to your people, trying to get vaporwave out there, try to get it known. And that is like great because, nothing lives if it's not like talked about, or, things get forgotten, and you're putting your part into the community. You're doing your part in the community by getting it out there, and that's awesome. uh
You can't imagine how much fun I'm having. Like
yeah.
it's
And you
it
said it was like a hobby. And it's like it's so much more than a hobby for like everyone else. Like that's just your shows are amazing.
I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
I'm so I I've always liked to party with my friends. I've always
Mhm.
I mean, I like to camp. I like to go to parks and hike, and I like to
I like
party
to
at your house.
drink.
I like for everybody to come to my house. I like to get down. So this was just an opportunity for us to get with like what can I party with people about? What
Mhm.
what can I do that isn't already being done that would be kind of cool if somebody was doing it? And
Mhm.
vaporwave was like it.
Yeah.
Because when I went to the show, when I went to the George Clanton show, I was burning with this desire to do something. And
Mhm.
like in fact, I was going to these concerts having lost all this weight and feeling, like a new man because I really was.
Mhm.
Uh, I was like, what am I going to do? And it was like, I could get a job. I'm like,
A
no,
gerb.
let's not do that.
Fuck
Everybody gets a job.
capitalism.
Let's not get a job. And it's like, let's start a party scene.
Mhm.
But I had no idea how I was going to do it. And then when I went to that concert, I was like, this is something that can be done.
And
This
you
is
know,
something that can be done.
and you know what George did for you, you're doing for other people. Like, you know that, right? And August
I
River
hope
said, "Does Ronnie know how inspiring he is?" Literally, do you?
well, August is a big sweetie, and he can say, "I I am so I'm so tickled to hear the nice things you guys say about me. It's
Mhm.
really it's really too much.
It
I'm
tickles my whiskers.
you guys. It's very sweet and it's very nice, and I am trying to make it so that we all can just be happy together
Mhm.
over something really great. And I find that throughout Vaporwave, throughout this community, y'all are kind of up for it.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think when you get a lot closer to home, you see a little bit more of the pain and the grittiness that maybe doesn't make it through this big like national vaporwave scene. And I feel like when I look around me in St. Louis, there's a little bit more work to be done to make peace with everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
To it's easier to be positive at this level than it is at this level sometimes. So I hope I can transform. I hope I can transform my city because it's where I live. I'm not leaving. My farm in Missouri, it's about 80 miles outside of the city. St.
Mm-hmm.
Louis is always going to be the big city that's connected to my family's land. So under those circumstances, I have to be connected to this place, to this town forever. And I want to try to make it into some place that I want to be, that even my kids would want to be, but I don't want to do anything political because, it's like they don't want me. They don't want me to be part of that. And I don't want
Yeah.
to be part of it. How about we do something artistic? And how about we do something
Amen.
artistic that isn't there already, something that's underrepresented, a new crop or field of artists trying to get through. What if I can do that? And that's just kind of what I'm just trying to do. I'm like trying to bring in the underrepresented. I mentioned Zavi before, and I said, here's a guy doing Porter Robinson remixes. He's an incredible producer and future bass. He's like never played in St. Louis.
Wow.
When I brought him to St. Louis, I was one of the first St. Louis people to bring him through, and it's just like this doesn't make sense. Like Dewey was the same way. He's like, he was playing an anime convention in L.A. that he just blew the spot up and was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back. Couldn't get gigs in St. Louis. Like people weren't willing and open to the concept to give him a chance, and so part of the Vaporspace mission is to give a chance to artists that I think are overlooked, to bring
Mm-hmm.
in new people and not constantly just bring in the same folks.
I wholeheartedly agree. Oh my God, is it so important? I mean, there are so many artists in the community, and there's so many big artists who are at the forefront of the vaporwave genre that, they that the smaller ones are overlooked. And what I love about URL shows, what I love about it is the fact that it has, brought a light to these artists and hey, look at this. Like they're here. They exist. And that's what you've done with Vaporspace STL online. That's also you have provided a platform in live shows and online for people to be seen. And you're not just an event maker. I'm like, wait, what is the specific term for? You're just not that. You are an innovator. Well, you are oh God, I'm so bad with wording, but you are so special and you have produced a platform for people. I don't know the word for it, but yeah, you understand what I'm saying. Right?
I mean, the music industry does not always function with a person like me in it. What I am doing is not necessarily how all things get done.
No, yeah.
I see myself as a promoter and a producer. And in some cases, those jobs are completely separate from one another. I'm
producer.
Parties.
That's the word.
I am producing
curator,
parties, and I promote these parties. And that's what I see myself as doing. But I have to cooperate with all these other folks along the way. I need venues. I need a sound system of some kind, and hope you can provide it. But if they can't, I need additional partners. I'm working with, people who are bringing music, people who are bringing lights, people who are bringing video. So I'm the real contractor bringing through.
Yeah, you're the contractor. Yeah. Yeah.
But I have
it's
jobs.
Wonderful.
It's the promoting falls to me because I think that artists, they don't always feel comfortable promoting themselves the way. So for
Yeah.
me,
They get
coming in as a guy
backlash.
that's like, I'm just gonna give it all to you.
Yeah.
I try to go ham for my artist as much as I can because I'm not about to let people make me feel bad about it.
Mhm.
It's like, I it's the job that I chose to pick,
Mhm.
so you can't get at me for promoting. It works, so I'm gonna keep doing it because shit works.
Mhm.
And if you don't like it, just fucking turn me off and don't come to my parties. But you should come to
Just
my parties if
leave.
you don't like it.
Yeah.
So uh, promoting promoting is part of Ron's job.
Mhm.
Vaporspace is the production, and I'm an important part of Vaporspace, but we don't produce. I don't produce it on my own.
Mhm.
Ronnie Love is a promoter. Ronnie Love runs his mouth and gets real loud and hands you flyers.
Hell yeah.
And oh yeah, something like August did that.
Wow,
Ring,
beautiful.
the ring light is reflecting tremendously off of it. But it's like
Beautiful.
I bring the incredibly talented artists together to make the things that people want to attend and go to, and it's just
Mhm.
I forgot what I was saying.
You're fine. But yeah, thank you to you, Paul, and Forgotten VCR. Thank you for making something so special. We are out of time. We're a little over. Uh, would you like to promote any more things that you're doing and just to repeat
I hope
yourself? Or, yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow night, please join us on Twitch. We will be streaming 8 awesome artists at selecta.stl, but you can also find us at Vaporspace STL. It starts at 8 Central, which I believe is 9 Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Mountain. So all the boy, have I learned a lot about time zones in this URL world.
Yeah.
Also, we'll be doing Catskill I'm co-hosting the Catskill Records Slugfest with Pad Chennington on Friday, April the 2nd, and that's going to be at 8 Eastern, which is 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 Pacific. And it is to celebrate the release of Fake Fever's album, an incredible album. But it's going to be pressed to vinyl as the first Catskill Records release. Also included at that show is going to be Dan Mason performing, and FM Skyline performing, and Rayleigh is going to be performing, and Desert Sands Feels Warm at Night is going to be performing, and I will be talking with most of them in between sets with Chad, or not, with Pad, excuse me, like a natural.
Or Thad.
I'm excited to talk with Pad. I don't normally talk to artists between sets. I'm excited to do it. I feel like I'm not going to stand out too hard, but I'm very excited to be talking to some of them for the first time and asking about some of their influences and the music that excites them, because I think it's an incredibly talented lineup of people.
Yeah, my
And I'm
boyfriend is
looking forward to
playing.
it. Yay, and Rayleigh!
Yeah. Oh God, what was that? Yay!
Yeah!
So I pulled up the poster. There's the date. There's the lineup. Check it out. um. Yeah. Oh yeah. I have to promote myself. Yeah. Well, but before I have to promote myself. Next week I am going to be joined by 3D Blast, Randy. I'm super stoked about it. I love that man. He's so funny. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I'm also going to play the your promo again. So stay tuned for that promo.
I will never forget dancing to 3D Blast at Electronicon 1. It was such a huge part of my night that night. The after party for anybody that missed it at Electronicon 1, there was the terminally chill stage, and then there was the lounge up in the kind of the, I guess it was, there was
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, where there was grilled cheese. I ate that grilled cheese. I was starving. Yeah, they completely forgot about me.
Oh, that's brutal.
I was like, yo, where's my grilled cheese?
During 3D Blast, we were jumping on the couches, and we were just getting hype as fuck. So
yeah,
3D Blast, great music. Just absolutely love to hear what he can play. Have a great show with him.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. You're a fucking amazing person. I really love you. I love you, man. Thank you everyone in chat for watching. Tune in to Vaporspace STL tomorrow and my podcast on Sunday with 3D Blast. All right. This has been great. Bye, guys. Mwah.
Had to be a time when there was no people, right? Where did all these people come from? I'll tell you where. The future. Where'd all these people disappear? That's right. How'd they get there? Flying saucers. Which are really... Yeah, you got it. Time machine. I think a lot about this kind of stuff. I do my best thinking on the bus.